After targeting Hindi signages at number metro stations, the Kannada Development Authority has now turned its focus on bank employees. They dictate to non-Kannadigas working in banks learn Kannada in 6 months or leave their jobs. In fact, KDA has asked regional heads of nationalized rural and scheduled banks to make it mandatory for non-Kannada speaking staffers to learn the language, failing which they might be relieved of their services. The authority has also asked for Kannada unit that must be set up in all the bank branches in the manner Hindi units were opened throughout the country when Hindi was implemented. In fact, we have Shrija joining us with more details. Shrija, KDA's new diktat there. Take us through exactly what the file that we've accessed here on Mirror Now says.
That's right, Amita. In fact, initially it was the language as far as Hindi signages in Bengaluru is concerned. Now looks like the jobs of many bankers and as well as C and D level employees, their jobs are at stake. The latest development that we are tracking at this point in time is that the KDA, the Kannada Development Authority Chairman Siddaramaiah, has issued notification to nationalized banks, the regional heads of the nationalized banks, asking them to in fact ask the employees to learn the language Kannada, give due importance to the language Kannada, otherwise they should be relieved in the next 6 months is what we clearly understand. But that apart, we also see that this particular rules, that is according to the RBI rules, clearly states that every bank should follow a 3-language policy, whichever irrespective of the state. Now be it Karnataka, take Karnataka for example, you should have Kannada, English and Hindi is the 3-language policy that RBI clearly in fact talks about. Apart from that, we clearly understand that the rules laid down by the Institute of Bank of Personnel Selection, it is a gateway to land plum jobs in the banking sector. That policy also clearly talks about that in fact the banks should adopt the state language, that is the Kannada language. But most of the banks, what we hear is that they have adopted only 2-language system, that is English and Hindi, and there are people who do not know both these languages, and there are some local, in fact people who speak local language who are unable to speak or write English or Hindi for that matter. Now this the latest move comes in the backdrop of where we saw the BMRCL, the Bengaluru Metro, removing all the Hindi signages across the metro stations after protests erupted. We saw the activists of Karnataka Rakshana Vedike staging protests, defacing Hindi signboards, demanding Congress government to step in and immediately pass a notification. Now the latest we see is that the jobs of many people working in the banking sector are at stake. That apart, we also understand that the Kannada Development Authority Chairman Siddaramaiah, if the notification is anything to go by, clearly states that the low-level employees, especially the C and D sector, which means it could be the peons or the home guards or the security level, the non-skilled jobs sector, the people who are working in banks, in fact should be given 100% recruitment. Otherwise, the other people, that is people from other states, should be removed is what the diktat issued by Kannada Development Authority.
All right, Shrija, this of course applies to nationalized rural banks in Karnataka, and KDA has of course also said that they will look for implementation in different banks as well. So how is that going to take place, and tell us what is the sentiment in Karnataka at this point, because the timing is extremely crucial. This comes after several metro stations were targeted.
That's right, Amita. In fact, the timing is definitely questionable. Remember, initially we did see where the metro signboards were defaced. There were people, there were supporters here from Bengaluru itself. But definitely we did receive mixed reactions as far as the Kannada and implementation of imposition of Hindi is concerned. There were people who were for it, saying that it is okay to have Hindi, but we saw maximum people here in Bengaluru saying they do not want imposition of Hindi. Now coming back to the banking sector where we're talking about, but that is just in relation to the private banks where talking about the implementation of Kannada committees, because clearly the Kannada Development Authority is not issuing that strong diktat to the private banks, where they are saying that they will have to ask their employees to learn the language, otherwise they should be relieved. This is only for the nationalized banks. Now, coming to the private banks, the private sector, we clearly understand that they have issued the diktat saying that they will have to set up a committee, just like other states where they have Hindi committees. They want a committee, Kannada committee, to be set up within the private banks so that you can encourage other people, that is non-Kannadigas, to learn the language.
Learn Kannada or leave your job. That's the new diktat by Kannada Development Authority to the bank staff there in Karnataka. Shrija, many thanks for joining us with more details there.